Well, it was a beautiful sunny day like it is today. It was middle of July. It was hot. Could have expected thunderstorms, but it wasn't. It was just a very hot day, bright and sunny, beautiful day. But there was a storm that brewed in my cake shop. Before my wife and I had opened, we had discussed what the shop would look like and what kind of cakes we would create. We decided we weren't going to create cakes that celebrated Halloween, for instance, or cakes with profanity on them or pornography, or there were certain guidelines and certain lines in the sand that we couldn't cross. But we also discussed at that time cakes that celebrated same-sex marriage. And it was illegal in Colorado for same-sex marriage. It's in the Constitution until this last election. So we had already prepared what those situations, what those answers would be. Two men came in and I sat down with them and asked them, my name's Jack, how can I help you? They said, we're here to look for wedding cakes. One of them said that, the other one said, it's for our wedding. And so I knew what my answer was going to be. I just didn't know how to phrase it or how they would take it. But I told them, sorry guys, I don't do cakes for same-sex weddings. The gentleman on my right jumps up, flips me off, starts swearing at me and storms out of the shop. The other one got up and left as well. And I thought, that's crazy. Nobody's ever sworn at me like that before. But I told him, I'll make you birthday cakes, shower cakes, sell you cookies and brownies. I just don't do cakes for same-sex weddings, meaning that I'm glad to serve you, but I can't create the cake that you're asking for. You can have anything in my shop. You're welcome here. But I can't create that cake because of the message it expresses. But they swore at me, stormed out of my shop, and eventually filed a lawsuit against me with the state of Colorado. So everything turned on that conversation. That was the first time and really probably the only time that anything like that's ever happened. And then 20 minutes after they stormed out of my shop, I started getting hateful phone calls, just all kinds of horrible things. This was Thursday afternoon that they came in, about 4:30, and by the time it closed at 6, I probably already had a half a dozen hateful, swearing phone calls. We're in the birthday business, party business. We want to create cakes that help people celebrate special occasions. And the worst that could happen is you miss the mark. But in this one, I'm getting accused of all kinds of things. Death threats. I had a gentleman call me and say, I'm coming to your shop, I've got a gun, and I'm gonna blow your head off. Hangs up, calls right back, tells me what street he's on. Take me this long to get here, and I'm gonna come and blow your head off. Like, that's never happened before. You just can't expect something like that from just trying to live by your faith. I left my shop and I was headed home, and I stopped at the grocery store. My head was spinning with what's going on here, and nobody's ever called me and sworn at me like this, trying to process all these things. And then a Bible verse came to me, 2 Timothy 1:7, that says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And the sound mind part is what struck me. It's like, this isn't my fight, this is his. And from that moment till today, I'm still at peace with everything that's gone on. But I was surprised at how quickly things blew up. So then Monday morning, I got a call from a gentleman at Focus on the Family. And Focus on the Family asked if we wanted to do an interview. So we agreed to that. He came in on Tuesday. He finished his interview, and then he said, there are organizations that can help in a situation like this. And I thought to myself, well, that's good news, but I don't know any. And he said, and they can do it for free. Well, that's better, but I still don't know any. And I can connect you with one. Call him up. So he connected me with his friend at Alliance Defending Freedom. So then there was hope at that point that I didn't have to face this alone. And ADF has been by our side ever since. When the story from Focus on the Family came out that following Wednesday, then it became national news. They put it on their radio show, coast to coast, and then it got pretty crazy. We were not able to settle into a routine. You get up in the morning, you come to the shop, and you don't know what to expect. We had 4 protests that I know of. One of them, our parking lot was filled with a couple hundred people, but only about 20 protesters, but most of the people who showed up were here to support us. We took trays of cookies out and passed them out to all the people that were out there, and the people who were protesting us refused to take cookies, so I guess that's up to them. But we tried to be gracious and kind to everybody. I couldn't have imagined it. I would think that just after a few weeks it would blow up, go away. But then in October we got served with papers from the state, so I knew it'd be longer. And then I had different people telling me that, this is a case that will go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Like, seriously? To the U.S. Supreme Court? Doesn't the Constitution protect my right to live according to my freedom, to freely exercise my faith? But eventually we did get to the U.S. Supreme Court. The day that I heard that the court was going to hear my case, I was here in the shop, and I was on my computer, and there's a website that I've become familiar with called SCOTUS Blog, and it's a blog that follows the Supreme Court. And I've been watching it every Monday because that's when they would announce which cases they granted and which ones they denied. And so I'm looking at the screen, waiting, and suddenly I see 5 words on there. It's like, Masterpiece Cake Shop has been granted. 12 years later, 6 years later, it still gets me. That chokes me up. That day, I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't call anybody and say, hey, guess what? The Supreme Court's hearing our case. The only one that I could tell that was here was a homeless guy who comes in occasionally. So I told him, I get to go to the Supreme Court. He said, I got to go to court on Wednesday. So it was media, all kinds of stuff going on. It was just such a crazy day that erupted to the next 6 months of craziness, doing multiple interviews and supporters coming in, hateful phone calls still. Well, just constant, nonstop. Talking to different people, one of the things I thought of was, why don't we go ahead and file the petition? They're already not hearing our case. The worst they could do is deny our case, and then we're officially not being heard. And one of my attorneys told me, no, the worst that could happen is that they grant your case and you lose. And I think it was at that point that I realized how much larger this was than me and my cake shop, that this case represented every American. Because free speech is for everyone. And if I lose my rights, if they can take away my rights, they can take them away from anybody and or everybody. And I realized that what God has called us to do is so much larger than what I initially thought, maybe. The whole family went to the Supreme Court, so the day that we were actually hearing the arguments, my wife, a couple of attorneys, we sat in one area, my sister and a good friend and another client sat in another section, and the sovereignty or the somberness of the Supreme Court is something you can almost feel. There are federal marshals making sure everybody stays in line. There's no talking, there's no nothing. You're quiet, you're respectful, and when the justices come in, it's like, there's Ginsburg, there's Thomas, there's Kennedy, Roberts, all these people that I've heard about, read about, and they're here to talk about our case. It was an incredible feeling to know what was going on there and to be part of it. Outside there was a big rally going on, so you walk out the court, down a long corridor, out the main doors, and then these iconic stairs that go down, and all the people that were on both sides rallying were out on the sidewalk. And I don't know how many people, a few hundred, but most of them were on our side, and there were some on the other side, and they're yelling and cheering and chanting and cursing and whatever they were doing. You couldn't really tell from that far away, but you just walked down the stairs and then did a large press conference. I had dealt with media many times at that point. I never get accustomed to it because it's always different, and that was a unique situation. But God prepared us to do what we needed to do there, gave us peace going down the stairs so I didn't trip and fall. And after it was over, we came home, and it was Christmas season at the cake shop, so it was a busy time, so there was no time to unwind and relax. We didn't know what day the decision would be released. You never know on any given case. A sister had called me and asked if I was following SCOTUS Blog. So, well, not really, because I'm not expecting a decision for a while. But then I turned on SCOTUS Blog the week before, and then that week, and suddenly we have our decision announced on SCOTUS Blog that we had won, and the decision was 7-2. And I can't talk again because I get too choked up or too emotional just reading it. I can't call anybody and tell them because no voice comes out. So I'm texting people, and then as I'm able to collect myself, people are coming in one at a time, two at a time. They're driving by the shop, they're honking, they're cheering. It was an incredible thing to go to the U.S. Supreme Court and come out victorious. On a day-to-day basis around here, we never know what to expect, but we do know that God expects us and empowers us to be faithful to Him. So that's what we want to do, no matter who comes in the door, who calls us on the phone, what kind of cake they order, or how they want to treat us, or whatever. We want to be faithful and gracious and show God's love. There were never any second thoughts. I would make that same decision again and again and again, and have had to multiple times since then. But it's the right decision. You have to stand by your faith, and God is fully capable of taking responsibility for my obedience. Before all this legal stuff started, I can tell you I was sleepwalking through my faith. This has given me the impetus or the courage to share my faith way more frequently than I ever would have before, because it's good news, and people want good news these days. People don't want to be living in the world that we're living in that's always telling them everything's going wrong. They want good news, and that good news is the love that God showed us through His Son, Christ. You know, none of this occurred to me 12 years ago. This ripple effect reminds me of a few weeks ago. I was baking some chocolate cake, and I took it out of the oven, opened the oven to pull it out, and it collapsed. And it never collapses. Like, there's something wrong with this. What did I do? I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong mixing the batter. But it was late, and I needed it the next day, so I made another batch, and I pulled it out. Same thing. It's like, this is just unusual. Well, I had to work with the formula, and it came down to what I think is, I had just gotten a new bag of cocoa powder, 50-pound bag of cocoa powder. Same brand, same everything. That was the only change. So I went and got some other cocoa powder, tried it, and it worked. Okay, so now I need to adjust my formula to fix this. And what I did was, in a 35-pound batch of cocoa powder, of chocolate cake, I added 20 grams of baking powder. Hardly anything. It's like a tablespoon. But that's what it took. But that made me think of my conversation with the two men at the very beginning, 12 years ago. It's 20 seconds long, 20 grams of baking powder. God uses little tiny things to do what He wants to do, and it's had a ripple effect. I've had a nephew who came to faith in Christ because of hearing my story. I've heard other people taking a stand at their work, changing careers to go into law or to do other things where they now want to defend rights of people like me in their community. It's just had such an impact. God has used this in ways that the ripple effect that people talk about could be a tsunami at the end. It could be just affecting so many people. And I'm so grateful that He's used us in this small way to accomplish what He wants to do.